Hi out there. We are here for our training today for how to make more sales with a heart-to-heart connection. So, as I am waiting, Susan, will you just let me know if you can hear me, please? Just type in the chat there because I have been struggling lately on this page to be heard. Or send me thumbs up or yes, I am so happy. Thank you for responding to that. All right, so I am here today. Sounding great. That's cool. I'm here today to continue with our series of training that I've been doing on the heart flow sales process that I created. And today we're really talking about how to make more sales with that connection, the heart connection. And for those who don't know me, I am Janet Clark, and I am the founder of the Freedom Shift. And primarily what I do is I match high ticket salespeople with coaches and consultants who offer high value programs. And so I do that through the High Ticket Sales Alliance. But my background is that I've been doing high ticket sales now for many, many years. And I have done that in the corporate world. I've done that through my own B2B sales agency that I created. And I've also done it now for the last 5 years with entrepreneurs who are coaches and consultants and service providers. So I've pretty much run the gamut of selling high ticket programs, which I also do for some well-known coaches and consultants. One being Ryan Levesque of the Ask Method. I've sold over $5 million worth of coaching programs in the last couple of years for some of these big name people. And, my experience has been training and developing salespeople. So I've put that all together to figure out how to help more people because I can only sell for so many, right? So that's where we are. So anyway, I'm going to wait just a second because I need to pick up something that I forgot to bring with me. So give me 1 second here. Okay, it's this. I'm going to show you. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Because what I want to do before I jump into the training today is I want to start with a little story. And this is a true story. And it has to do with Sandra's drinking her coffee and anxious to learn. Well, great. So hopefully you are going to learn something today. I appreciate it. Okay, so I want to start with a little story. And this is a true story about when I invested in a high ticket program myself and what it really means to do that. So this year, I invested $30,000 and I didn't invest that money so that I could get a financial ROI on that money. So very often we think about, okay, well, if I invest in a high ticket program or I get somebody to invest in that program, I have to tell them about how they're going to get a financial ROI on that. Well, there's many different ways that you can actually get a return on an investment. So this year, back in April, I invested $30,000 and this is what I invested it in. This is, oops, upside down. This is a book. And this book has a picture of my family on it. And that there's 19 of us in this picture, and that's myself and my husband and all our kids standing on a stairway on a ship. And this is a picture of the ship. And in this book is a whole bunch more pictures, right, about our adventure. So I'm not going to go through the whole book, but these are just some of the things that I invested $30,000 in. Okay, so well, It's near and dear to my heart. Okay. So, what did I invest in when I invested in this? Okay. I invested in an experience that was life changing and life impacting for me and for my four sons, their wives, and my 9.5 grandchildren, soon to be 10. We are waiting. It's going to happen this weekend, I'm sure. Okay, so back to the reality. So, what I really invested in was something that is memorable, precious, and a one of a kind experience. Okay, something that really was near and dear to my heart. And so this investment really is a part of my legacy. It's something that is going to live on after I'm gone because we captured it in this book. And what's in this book? Like what's really in here? Okay? What's in here is just love, family love, laughter, joyfulness, giddiness, right? Make your own Sundays unlimited, walking on a ropes course 19 stories up over the Caribbean, climbing on rock climbing walls on a ship, bungee jumping, and ports of call where we went to the beach and got to explore other countries together as a family. Those are memories of cousins and siblings and moms and dads and grandparents, Gabby and Pappy, that's me and my husband, and just enjoying each other's company, just living in the moment of pure vacation and freedom. So, where did the money for this experience come from? Well, like literally, it came from my business. It came from the fact that I was able to generate money in my business, which would allow me to create a life of freedom. And therefore, also, and when I talk about freedom, I talk about financial freedom, time freedom, lifestyle freedom, go where I want, when I want. That's what it really means to me to have a business. So I can ultimately create the experiences that are life changing for me and my family and will live on. Okay, so maybe your program, or well, let's go back a little bit. So I invested with a coach when I started my business and every year since. So I've now been in business for 5 years and I've always made these investments into my business. And yet I would tell the coach, yes, I'm making an investment because I want money in my business. And of course, I do want money. But beyond that, why do I want this money? This is why I want the money. Okay. This is, oh, I keep holding it upside down. This is my real why. So maybe you, as a coach or a consultant or a salesperson, maybe you're not selling business programs to make money, but maybe you're selling health related programs, or maybe you're selling relationship, fixing relationship problems, or a program that people might use to reduce stress or to overcome an addiction, right? There's many different types of programs that add value to the world and to help people to get underneath what the real problem is. So somebody struggling with a health problem, yes, okay, they want to feel better. But why do they want to feel better? What is this problem creating? What's the underlying thing that they really want that they can't have because this problem is in the way, right? So for me, the problem of creating revenue in my business or finding new clients, underneath that is I really want the life of freedom so that I can create experiences. So many times people aren't even conscious, and I'm talking about your prospects, of what is really the impact that their problem is having on their life. So you, as a heart-centered salesperson, whether you are selling your own program or you're selling somebody else's program, have the opportunity to really dig with this person, to really go deeper, to figure out what is it that this problem is stopping them from doing that's really near and dear to their heart, right? Or if they do solve this problem, sort of put the positive spin on it, right? What will they get as a result of solving this problem? So, if somebody, say, for example, is in a bad marriage, and the thing that they want is they want to reconnect with their spouse and they want to go back to being, happily married. Well, why do they want that? Is it because the happy marriage is really what they want, or is there something deeper right underneath that? Well, it could be something to do with their kids. It could be that they need to reclaim their feelings of self-worth because being in this tumultuous, unhappy marriage is really diminishing how they feel about themselves. Maybe it's that they want to feel beautiful and they want to feel uh, loving and sexy again. And when they're in this bad marriage, those feelings aren't there. Or maybe they just want to go back to feeling joy and zest for life. So, very often, it's not just the thing that's on the surface, it's something deeper. And usually, it's even deeper than that. It has to do with something that they missed out on maybe in their childhood, or a self-fulfilling prophecy of keeping a bad history going, right? So maybe their parents were get divorced and now this is really affecting them and they know how they felt as a child, or what it felt like to be in the middle of something like that, and they want to fix it. So there's always a deeper reason than what is on the surface for why somebody would benefit and be transformed from your program or the program that you're selling. So when you're doing your heart flow sales process and you can actually connect with somebody and help them to figure out what's underneath that, that's when you make that heart connection with people. And it takes a little bit of brazenness in a way in taking a risk, because you're going to be asking people questions that they might not even be conscious of the answer. So you're digging a little bit with them into their subconscious. And people literally make buying decisions based on the feeling that it's going to give them when they purchase that thing. Now, let's go back to this concept of ROI. Now, very often people will spend, like I just did $30,000 on a vacation, but very often people will spend $5,000, $8,000, $10,000 to go on a vacation. They don't do that because they're going to get an ROI financially from that, right? But they are going to get a feeling from making that investment, right? They're going to get this feeling of freedom, this feeling of joy, this feeling of connection with the person that they go on the trip with. Or, why do people invest a lot of money in uh, luxury cars or jewelry or any life experience, clothes that people buy, things, right? Why do people go buy Rolex watches? Well, they buy them for the feeling that they get from making that investment. So it's no different when they're going to look for a high ticket program, right? Something that's going to solve a problem that they have in their life. They want a different feeling. So sometimes the buying decision is not all that logical, it's much more emotional. So until you can really connect in with that person on an emotional level, you're going to have a hard time getting them to logically make the buying decision. So hopefully that's making some sense to you. So the heart flow process is about connecting into feelings, not so much the logic of it. I don't believe in using scripts when you're on a sales call. I believe that it's much more about making the connection and having the conversation flow in a certain way. And I call that standing in the fire with people, right? To really kind of help them to get to the bottom of, what that feeling is that they're looking for. Now, going back to sales, to me, I like the acronym for sales to be sharing a life enhancing solution. So, your job as a salesperson is really to determine if this program or solution that you're offering is going to enhance this person's life. And two things have to happen before this person is going to recognize whether this is a good move, right? So, two things have to happen before somebody is going to invest in a high ticket program. Some of you have heard me say this before, but I totally know it to be true, so I keep re emphasizing it. Number one, the person has to believe in their heart and in their head that the program works. And they have to know that that you are the reason the program works, right? You're the coach or consultant, or the person you're selling for is that person that implements that program in such a way that it works for people. Now, the second part of that is they have to figure out whether it will work for them. Now, your job as a salesperson is not really to help them figure out if the program works. That's really the job of marketing. Now, if you're the coach or consultant, it's your job, excuse me, to make sure your marketing answers that question for people. And that by the time they get on the sales call, they actually are trying to figure out, okay, I know it works. I know I want it, but will it work for me? So this is where you actually get to stand in the fire and help them to figure out if this is going to be the right life enhancing solution for them. So let's talk about how you do that. Now, there is a psychological process that people go through in order to make a buying decision. And there's 3 stages to that process. And the heart flow sales process is divided into 3 segments. And these three segments are in alignment with the psychological process that people have to go through in order to come to the buying decision. So, what are these 3 segments? What are they called? The first one is called cognition. What cognition is the learning. It's the knowing in their mind that they have a problem and that there is a solution to that problem, and that solution works for other people. And they start to think that perhaps it could work for them. This is what has to be established in the first stages of the sales process. We have to know that this person is aware of the problem, is aware of the solution, knows that that solution works, and is wondering, will it work for me? Now, if you get on a sales call and that cognition is not there yet, and that you find yourself having the conversation with people where you're educating them about the problem and that how the solution solves the problem, you're more than likely not going to close that person on a one call close. You're now into a multi-call situation because the person doesn't have the cognitive awareness yet that this solution is the answer to this problem. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. The second stage in the heart flow process, And there's 3 steps in each one of these stages. And I can't go into the full details, obviously, of the training because it would be too long. But I'm giving you the high level. So the second stage is what is called constructivism. This is where the person, the prospect, is now beginning to see the possible bridge between where they are now and where they want to be. And with your help, you are constructing this bridge in their mind so that together you are both envisioning how this could potentially get them from their problem to the resolution of their problem. So it's called constructionism because this is where they are constructing that bridge within their own head. And it's really being able to start envisioning how this is going to work for them. It's taking it into, the first one was the cognition that it works. The second is envisioning how it's going to work for them personally. And then the third stage is the experiential piece of it, where they literally enroll in the program and they take action to actually step into the process and integrate it into their own lives. And so it's when they make this commitment that they move into the experiential piece of it where they take it on as their own. And so that would be the part where we make the close, really, where they say yes and we get them enrolled in the program. But if they haven't been through this cognition stage and this constructivism stage, then you're not going to get them into enrollment. So there's nothing sleazy. There's no difficult tactics that you have to learn. There's no scripts that you have to follow. It's really just a psychological process that you want to work people through, and you have to be invested in it from the perspective of your heart to their heart, which is why I call it heart flow. So heart flow really has to start with that cognition stage to determine whether you're going to be in a one-call close or a multi-call close. Figuring out, does the prospect know that the program works? And if not, it doesn't mean you're not going to close the sale. It just probably means you're just not going to close it on that call. So I don't like it when people start beating themselves up over the fact that they're not closing these calls a lot of times, when in fact they do not have a qualified buyer on the call with them. And so that's why in my business, when somebody comes to me for help with their closing and their sales, whether it's a coach or a consultant who wants to outsource their sales, or whether it's a salesperson like I just talked to this morning who wants to do better with his sales, what I realize is that very often they are talking to a cold prospect, somebody who's not really cognitive yet, doesn't have that cognition of the program and the coach and whether that program actually works. So they find themselves trying to close somebody who's just not ready for that. And you'll bat your head up against the wall if you keep trying to do that. So, does the prospect know that the program works? If yes, you can move on to the constructivism stage. If no, then they need to be nurtured more. And that really falls back on the coach, consultant, service provider. And so how does that person get nurtured more? Well, you do it through your funnel process, right? You do it through emails, you do it through videos, you do it through webinars, you do it through a Facebook group, you do it through blog posts, things they can read, testimonials, right? All of this education so that they can become aware and learn about your solution So then they are ready to step into the next stage, which is envisioning how this solution is actually going to work specifically for them. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. For anyone who's seeking right now to bring on a salesperson, if you are in a point where you know that you need some help with the education piece of things, with the funnel, I have actually partnered up with some like top amazing marketers. And so if you reach out to me, I will make sure that I introduce you to some people who can actually help you to do that in the most effective way. And what we do different over here at the Freedom Shift is that we actually marry marketing and sales. So not only do we help you to build your funnel and qualify your prospects, but then we come in on the sales side of things and we make sure that you can sell the program, and that it's not only just you can sell it, but that we can bring in a sales team, person or team, who also can sell that for you. So, where many people just focus on marketing in isolation and sales in isolation, and then they feel the total disconnect, they can't be disconnected. They literally have to be done in tandem. So, I guess that is what I would say is the big differentiator about what I believe is the right way to approach bringing people into your high ticket programs. It's making sure that your marketing and your sales are in sync. Okay, so let me just recap because I actually have covered quite a bit for you today. So the first thing is that to recognize that people buy based on their big why, and that sometimes they don't even have the capability to really articulate what that why is without you helping them. So let's go back to me. So when I first started the Freedom Shift, my business, my why, when I was investing in my first coaching program, was because I don't know how to get clients and generate revenue online, right? I've never done that before. So on the surface, what I'm looking for is a business coach who can help me to figure out how to do that. The why underneath that, though, if yes, why do I want clients? Why do I want money? Okay, well, because I want to create a life of freedom. So I no longer want to be tied to the corporate world. I no longer want to be tied to having to be at the mercy. Even in my B2B sales agency, I was still in a corporate world. So I was really dependent on the delivery of the solutions I sold for these teams of people in these corporate environments. And it was driving me crazy because I had no control over that. So what I wanted was freedom. I wanted to be free. I wanted to have financial freedom to be able to make as much money as I wanted. I wanted to have time freedom, that I could work as much or as little as I wanted. And I wanted a lifestyle freedom where I could work from anywhere, anytime in the world, right? Just go anywhere. A lot of you know that I'm into my 6th week on the road. I have been traveling, working from here, there, and everywhere, sometimes from the car, sometimes from hotel rooms, sometimes from a little place that we rented in Cape Cod, this week from my son's house. So I'm just, doing what I do from wherever. And that's a life of freedom. Pretty soon, this new baby will show up, and we'll transition back into our car, and we'll be driving from Massachusetts back to Florida with some stops in between. And I will continue to run my business. So that's the life of freedom that I got involved in my business for. But so that's the second layer. Okay. First layer, I want to make money and I want to get clients and I want to figure out how to do it online. Underneath layer, I want the life of freedom, financial freedom, time freedom, lifestyle freedom. Underneath that, why do I want all that? This, or this is why I do it. This is what I wanted. I wanted to be able to take $30,000 and take 19 people who I love dearly with all my heart and create a experience. And this is not the only experience I want to create, right? So that's just one thing. A couple of years ago, we all went to Disney World together for my husband and I 40th anniversary. And I've got great family pictures and we've got books that depict that, right? I have a great daughter-in-law who creates these books after we do these family trips, and they are lasting memories for all of us. But that's the underlying why, because I want to have my grandchildren know family love, know their grandparents, experience interactions with their cousins because they don't all live close by each other. I want my children to have this opportunity to be with their siblings and enjoy each other, right? And I also, obviously, because I'm highly spiritual, I want to be able to impart a lot of my spiritual love and light to my family. And so this gives me the opportunity to collect them all up and shine my light for them. So that's the number one thing. Why do people buy? Okay, so use me as an example. There's always 3 layers deep, at least. One of my colleagues, Steve Sims, wrote a book. It's called Blue Fishing, The Art of Getting What You Want. And he says in that book that, there's always at least 3 layers to the why. So if you really want to get better at sales, go deeper. All right. The second thing we talked about is the reason, the 2 things that have to happen before somebody is going to invest in a high ticket program. One is they have to know the program works, and they have to know that you, as the coach or consultant, are behind the success of that program, and they trust you. And the second thing is they have to figure out, will it work for me? And that is your job as a salesperson, to really stand in the fire with them, figure out what's coming up, what are the fears, what are the negative voices saying, and why are they questioning whether it will work for them. And then the third thing is that to make a buying decision, a person, all of us as human beings, have to go through 3 segments to making that decision. The first is cognition, which is the learning about the problem and about the solution. So becoming aware that there is something out there that works. Second is the constructionism stage, where they start thinking about building the bridge and how that program that they now are aware of and have learned about will actually work for them. And then the third part is the experiential, where they step into that. They make that commitment to integrate that now into their life so that they can experience that life-enhancing solution or transformation. So that was a lot to cover in 34 minutes, and I hope it's helpful. I would love to speak to you about anything that's on your mind regarding high ticket sales. I do love selling. I love talking to people about moving their businesses forward and improving their sales. But I love building relationships. I've learned that really it's the people who I interact with that give me the most joy and that I get the most benefit from in my business as well. So mostly everything that I've ever done in my life has come through referrals and word of mouth. And how you get referrals and word of mouth is obviously getting to know people. So if you want to reach out and have a conversation with me, you can do that at www.meetme.s as in Sam O /Freedom Shift. And that will get you on my calendar. And you can also reach out to me on Messenger. So happy selling from my heart to your heart. And I will be back next week with another training, which I do typically on Thursday afternoons at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And God willing, I will be back at that exact time next week. So thank you for bearing with me as I've been in a transition week, and hopefully you got a lot from this. So I will be back next week. In the meantime, reach out if you'd like to. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.